Hello everyone, I'm Extra Cheesy 87 and this is Let's Play Ace Attorney. Miles is doing stuff edition, part 27. We're coming out of the Trails mines to actually record some Ace Attorney. Be honest, I don't know what the hell's going on. Apparently we're talking to Detective Bad. Apparently we're grilling his ass. Alright, yeah, okay, yeah, alright. So it's been, I guess, about a week since I last recorded the game. Maybe a little longer, actually. I don't remember. Yeah, I think it's been like a week today. Maybe a week. I think the last time I recorded this was Thursday last week. So... Why did Miss Yu choose lobby number 1? Yeah, why did she do that, Detective Bad? Answer me! Who knows? She just said she had something she wanted to talk to me about. And we walked into lobby number 1 together. His answer remains the same as before, I see. We're talking about some trivial things. Yeah, define trivial. I was hoping you could expand on what exactly you were discussing with Miss Yu. Alright, what the hell's going on in this case, by the way? We got a key. It's got a Grasu's key, by the way. I don't know if you guys knew that. There's a handprint. Detective Gumshoe. He's a freak. Organizer. The sound of the handgun was recorded with superb clarity. That seems important. I don't think we've said anything about a sound of a handgun yet. We'll file that one away into the temporary files to be cleared upon, I don't know, later. Trivial stuff. It was nothing important. Like you. That's for me to decide. Stare. Alright, I suppose it's for him to decide. Moving on then.
Hold it!
Until you heard the gunshot, do you notice anything else that was out of the ordinary? I didn't hear any other strange sounds until that gunshot. If the gunshot Detective Bad heard was really the one from the murder, that would give the other piece of evidence an entirely different meaning. I ask that you please amend your testimony with that statement just now. Didn't hear any other strange sounds until that gunshot. Well, do we have the balloon pop as actual evidence? I do remember that. I mean, I guess in theory you could use the piece of the balloon. Let's finish pressing him. But that's what I assume we're going for, is that he should have heard the balloon pop. I mean, if they were able to hear it all the way over in the bathrooms.
Hold it!
Detective Bad, you honestly remember hearing anything else? Is it possible you're so involved in your conversation you missed something? I've been detective for a long time, and even if I were involved in something, I've got quite the habit of keeping tabs on everything that goes on around me. If there had been some other strange sound, you can be sure I would have heard it. Okay, I suppose with the detective that's probably very likely. So the gunshot. Let's press these other two just for content and to make sure.
Hold it!
Why did the two of you dash out into the hallway straight away? Because we clearly heard sound of gunshot. And we knew it came from somewhere nearby. And how did you know it was a gunshot? In my line of work you hear enough of them to know. Well, it's only natural for a detective to know what a real gunshot sounds like. Given the circumstances, only person I could think of whose life would have been in danger was Faraday. That's why I ran out in the hallway right away and headed for where he was.
Hold it!
Detective Gumshoe was there in the hallway? Yes. Why didn't you attest to that earlier? When I saw Gumshoe, it was after I heard the gunshot. Having seen him then didn't change the fact that he still could have done the deed. Sounds exactly what Detective Bad told us before. However, is there something in particular we should be asking the detective about? There just might be. No one knew the knife is actually the Yatagrasu's key. Reflecting on that, perhaps there are other things we know now Detective Bad doesn't? Okay, maybe I don't know what I'm fucking talking about. What a... Okay, we actually should. Let's go over the somewhat new. Okay, heard the gunshot right for the trial was about to start. Swiss roll, balloon piece, promises, perfume. The sound of the handgun going off was okay. It could be that they were playing the video. Right? And that's what he heard, not an actual gunshot? No matter how you might try and play it, as long as I have the Yatagrasu's key. The only problem I have with that is that he didn't hear any other strange sound. Like, I feel like that's supposed to be setting up that, like, the balloon pop and how he didn't hear it. But I don't really know how we go forward with that. So I'm, like, a little wary over picking it because it doesn't feel right. Like, I don't know what we would, like, build off of that. I mean, I guess the idea that maybe, like, he can't hear in that room as well as he thinks. So then maybe he didn't actually... Like, the gunshot he heard was not the gunshot? Like, I don't know. And the key... Oh, so... It's either just the balloon piece and it's straightforward, or it wants the organizer. We'll try balloon piece, and if it's organizer, whatever.
Objection!
Okay. Detective Bad, does this balloon fragment remind you of anything? It's same color as one Kay was holding. Oh, so you know about that girl's balloon? Yes, I was sitting with her up in gallery. During recess, just before we split up, I filled the balloon for her. Well, as you may already surmise, this piece did indeed come from Kay's balloon. So, what about the balloon? I wonder if you might remember hearing this balloon pop at some point? What are you getting at? This fragment was found in the hallway, right in front of lobby number 2. Furthermore, it was the sound of this balloon popping that the judge mistook as a gunshot. Oh, so the sound the judge heard was not actually a gunshot, huh? On top of that, His Honor said that he heard the balloon pop about 20 minutes before the trial was to reconvene. Which means His Honor heard the balloon pop in the hallway when you were in lobby number 1, Detective Bad. And if you were in lobby number 1 at that time, you were close enough you should have heard the balloon popping as well. So? Don't give me a so. We just proved there's a flaw in your testimony. The crackling of the truth is louder than the sound of your sweet naivete cracking. And since you kids don't seem to know, let me fill you in on something. Did you ever stop to think why the doors and walls of this place seem so rugged? That's because they were designed to keep secrets from being leaked. But what is that supposed to mean? The doors and walls are super thick. The window panes are double layered. To top it all off, even the curtains are made of special sound-absorbing material. Then you mean... Since I was shut up inside lobby number 1, there was no way I could have heard the sound. No! I knew that's what he was going to say. Then that means the scrub-faced testimony is completely useless. If the rooms are soundproof, then of course he wouldn't hear any sign of a struggle. Ugh. That's also why it's only natural that I didn't hear the balloon popping. Now, do you get it, kids? Miles, I thought we were supposed to be the ones finding flaws in his logic. Not the other way around. The other way around? It's not possible to hear the sound of a balloon popping if you were in lobby number 1. If we examine the situation in reverse, the person standing in the hallway should not be able to hear the real gunshot either. Well, I mean, I get what you're going for, but they are a whole different level of loudness. And yet Detective Gumshoe claims to have heard it while he was standing in the hallway. Detective Bad, if that's the case, how exactly did you hear the gunshot? What do you mean, Hale? I use my ears. It would appear that you have yet to realize the contradiction in your own words. Do you not know gun? Much louder than balloon. If the rooms are as soundproof as you say they are, then how did the sound of the gunshot enter your ears? I see what you mean. It's a foolish question. I guess I'm more out of it from Faraday's murder than I had thought. Which means what exactly, Miles? In the end, what does it all boil down to? It boils down to this. There must be a reason. As to how Detectives Bad and Gumshoe heard a gunshot they theoretically couldn't have. Let's begin to examine the state of the crime scene again, huh? Need to look at that VHS player, man. The state of the crime scene? Wait, can it be? It's that ultra strong perfume you wear. She spilled some of it. Oh, okay, so the thing was open? Yeah, true, true. Way too noisy! Yeah. Okay, so we kind of had the right idea. The surveillance video? I got a piece of evidence just disappear. Where'd it go? I kind of like that one. Or like this, I mean, I'm saying this because I figured it out randomly. Because, it's okay. Well, how do we do this in... Okay, so it was open because of the smell. We start there. Simply not possible for the killer to escape through barred windows. And yet the fragrance of the perfume managed to escape from defendant lobby number 1. Of course, incorporeal things can move freely through these open, barred windows. Okay, I was wondering what the windows are going to be for. Well, actually, do I want to do this or do I want to open windows? Well, I can't okay. I was like, how do I unsell? Because I don't know if I need to first make the connection. Like, I don't know what order I should do it in. Because I was going to say TV missing evidence, but I'm kind of like, we should first establish that the TV could be heard through the windows, maybe. Or if I don't actually know. I mean, my gut says missing evidence, but my head says this one. If it's wrong, I don't really, I have no complaints, really. What else besides the smell can go both in and out of an open barred window? The answer is sound. No matter how careful the killer was, if the windows are open, the jig would be up. Since the windows in both defendant lobby number 1 and the hallway were open, that explains how the sound of a gunshot could be heard in both locations. The missing piece of evidence is a video. It shows the moment in which Mr. Rail killed the embassy staff member. The sound of the gunshot left quite an impression on me when it was played during the trial. The video should have been returned to Mr. Faraday's evidence bag for the recess. And brought back here. If it disappeared after that time, then it's possible the tape is still here in this very room. Eureka! The evidence that the missing evidence created for me is the gunshot sound that no one should have been able to hear in the first place. Miles, what have you been thinking about? Stop wasting time thinking, let's start looking again. But, you know, my thing is that, like, though, I mean, yeah, we did establish that you could hear the gunshot because of the TV, but didn't we also just establish they could have heard the gunshot from the actual gunshot? You know? It's not a waste of time to think, for I figured out where we should look. And where would that be? I believe we should examine the television. The TV? Oh yes, my favorite daytime soap is on. Well, you kids have fun. Go examine whatever you like. Oh, we're beginning the investigation? Don't I just have one thing to look at? Every suspicious looking nook and cranny. You know me, I'm always looking at them nooks and crannies. The window is wide open. The scent of flowers is being blown in from the outside. I think it softens the heavy air in here somewhat. Windows in both lobby number 1 and number 2 were open. Maybe they were trying to air out the room just like in lobby number 1. Or maybe they sought to ease some of the tension through some fresh air. Mr. Faraday and Mr. Rell in the same room. I imagine the latter to be the case. But was there really a need to open the window just for that? Earlier when Detective Gumshoe touched it, it made a most terrible racket. You and Scruffy turned the television on, right? Actually, come to think of it, I don't think Detective Gumshoe actually touched the television at all. Furthermore, it seemed more like when a video feed suddenly stops. At least it did to me. Wonder why that is. It's a video player, and there seems to be a videotape inside. Kids these days don't know nothing about that. It looks like it. The tape must have stopped on its own when it reached the end. This tape. Could it not be the missing surveillance tape? I suppose, but... Detective Bed, would it be alright with you if I verified the contents of this video? Sure, knock yourself out. Alright, then let's rewind this and see what we have. If I remember correctly, the footage of Rail killing embassy staff member should be about 30-minute mark from the start of the tape. Understood. It should be about right. Now then, let's see. This is the footage of Mr. Rail shooting the embassy staff member. I knew it. The missing piece of evidence. The surveillance video was here all along. The gunshot is especially memorable. This sound. What's the meaning of this? It appears Detective Bat has figured out the true source of the gunshot he heard. With this, then we can figure out the trick behind this double murder. Do you mean you figured it out all, then? Yes, all I have to do now is show what the gunshots that Detective Bat and Gumshoe heard was, and through where they... I mean, yeah, but that still leaves a pretty big problem of... I mean, they were actually... I mean, one dude was actually shot. So how do we square that away? I mean, we could establish that they were killed earlier, at least, than what it sounded like. Like, I guess they could have been... It could be you shot them 30 minutes before, set it up so that when the gunshot happened, people would come to investigate. So it would basically be they were murdered literally as soon as, like, the trial went into recess. Fine, in that case, show me what you've deduced. Okay, show what the gunshots they heard was, and through where they heard it from. I won't rest until I've inspected every suspicious looking nook and cranny. Okay, so first is... I guess the video? I don't really know the way they want me to do this. This piece of evidence will clear away the last remaining contradiction in the case. Miles, look at that piece. It may actually be proof of a different last sorts. It proves to... I know the last riddle and its answer somewhere... I don't really know what they want. Like, I don't... It's like the question... It feels like they're asking me, like, they say, what's 2 plus 2? And you say 4, and they're like, why? And you're like, I don't fucking know. It just is, dummy. We already went over what the answer is. That they heard the gunshot through the video, but I don't know how to... Okay, if the door to the windows in the crime scene, namely this room that we're in, are closed, the killer could have used the gun and no one would have been the wiser. That's true, this courthouse does seem to be well designed for such a thing, as it were. What happened in reality was... Detective Gumshoe, Detective Bad, and Miss Yu. All three of them heard the gunshot. Well, the windows in lobby number 1 and 2 in the hallway were open. So naturally, the people in those locations could hear it. Ah, but then why would the criminal open the window in the first place? To allow the gunshot to be heard, I suppose. Correct. That's the only logical conclusion we can draw from this. Why was that necessary in the first place? I want a real answer, Miles. I demand satisfaction. Very well. I believe the killer wanted to manipulate our perception of a certain fact. Yeah, the time of the murder. Yeah, when the crime took place. The killer wanted to fabricate the time of death to their precise wishes. Well, see, also, I guess the way they phrased the question earlier is I thought it was going to be like a double thing. Where it was like, we have to do this and this. So I thought I had to present it on like 2 different spots. You know? And they used the gunshot in the surveillance video to do so. So that's why the tape was left running. You mean the gunshot I heard was from this video? Yes, which means the murders really occurred at an earlier time than we thought. Must have been during the recess, but before Detective Gumshoe was on guard duty. Someone who has no alibi for that time period, and planned this crime out in advance. That person's the real killer. Woo. Mr. Edgeworth! What is it? Miss Yu is asking for you. She's in the courtroom. She says she's identified the murderer, but she wants to clarify something. Looks like Miss Yu is still investigating something. Understood. Tell her that I will be right over. I'll come along. I'll come along. I want to hear what she has to say. I have a feeling that the Let's Player just saw that the person's name started with a B and an A and assumed it said bailiff instead of bed. Therefore, they used their normal voice when me, Detective Beard, would never be caught talking like normal bailiff. It would appear the time has come to uncover the truth. Yeah, to be continued. I had it on good authority. I'm already in the ladder. And so are we in the ladder? Ladder, confrontation, former. Brother, what the fuck is you talking about? Most convoluted ass chapter scheming, name scheme in history? Yeah, let's get behind the dang old desk just to have a show trial. Okay, what are you doing here? Oh, hello, mister. I'm still investigating. But the object you're looking for is already... Okay, don't mind him. He is idiot. Continue with your investigation. Okay, you got it. Detective Bad, haven't we already found what you were looking for? If it means I can keep her in the dark just a little bit longer, any little task will do. Oh, you're more sympathetic than I thought. I've been waiting for you, Edgeworth. I've also been waiting for the moment in which we can finally lay this case to rest. The moment in which we can finally lay this case to rest. Wasn't that when we placed Detective Gumshoe under arrest? I think we've more than solved this case already. Don't you? We'll see. It all depends on whether or not your logic holds. Oh, I see we even have a viewer in the gallery, and why even Mr. Bad is here. A viewer in the gallery? I'm hardly just a bystander. I have a duty to see this case through to the end. I will be judge. Judge bad. Bad judge. But good judge of character and the law. No matter how it turns out. Oh, is that right? Anyway, I thought you might like to hear what I've slaved away to find. I've taken statements from every single person's movements during the time when our suspect was in the hallway. I also confirmed there is no possible route of escape from lobby number 2. Therefore, the killer must without a doubt be Detective Gumshoe. And that's all you have? Yes, that is all there is to my conclusion in this case. Sorry, but I beg to differ. In a trial, there's always time for a rebuttal, and we are standing in a court of law. It'd be more than appropriate to follow the rules of the court in this case, don't you think? How absolutely like a rookie to think such a thing. But alright, I'll play along and give you a proper testimony. If my logic is correct, then I've already won. All I have to do now is prove it by showing who the real killer is. Everyone saw the inspector as an alibi for when the gun went off. Furthermore, the areas around the crime scene have all been thoroughly investigated, right? I also confirmed there is no possible escape route from lobby number 2, which leaves us with one unshakable conclusion, that Detective Gumshoe is the killer. Yeah, okay. Nice argument. What if I were to respond with, I know you are, but what am I? Would that shake you to your legal core? How about everything you say is, I'm rubber, you're glue, everything you say bounces off me and sticks to you, Is that in your fancy law books? Now that you have your testimony, I expect a good rebuttal, Edgeworth. But of course, I'll have you know my butt is anything but good. I mean, it's definitely good. Can we cut this? There's no need to confront her logic head on right now. I should instead focus on drawing out any trump cards she has up her sleeve. I don't really know what that means, because I feel like we just immediately set up the fact that the killing is at the wrong time. Because, I mean, this is the main thing, right? Is that, you know, her whole statement operates on the time of the murder being 30 minutes later than what we think it is. But I guess we'll just press everything first.
Hold it!
The suspect, but I thought Detective Gumshoe's alibi had already been proven. You're joking, right, Edgeworth? I assure you this is no joke. I'm not very funny. Look, I know you heard from the judge earlier that the detective was in the hallway with Mr. Faraday's daughter eating a Swiss roll. That is correct. But see, that was 20 minutes before the real gunshot went off, right? And the problem is there's no one else who can corroborate what he did since the snacking. I see she's done her research well. Means I should focus on drawing out whatever trump card she's withholding.
Hold it!
Whether they have been thoroughly investigated or not is for me to decide. The scrunched eyebrows, the lines on your forehead are back. Anyway, even if you believe it hasn't been exhausted, the crime scene, lobby number 2, there's no way out other than the hallway Detective Gumshoe was standing in. Because he claimed to be there, that makes him the only possible suspect. Isn't it also possible that someone escaped through a window and into the garden? That's the first place everyone looks silly. The police aren't a bunch of lazy... Well, Riley, agree to disagree. They looked into every possibility, you know. Isn't that right, Mr. Bad? I am no sidekick. Call me Detective Bad. Well, that's what you already called me. But now I am sidekick. I have been handed responsibility of boombox, and I will press buttons accordingly. Also, yeah. There wasn't a scrap of evidence to suggest someone used one of the windows. There also weren't any footprints or anything in the courtyard garden. I suppose they really did check everything that could be relevant to the case.
Hold it!
Are you absolutely positive there are no possible routes of escape? Of course, I'm sure. And why are you so certain? This is a courthouse, the place where criminals are brought to be judged. If there was an escape route, I'm sure every criminal would be using it to escape. Just common sense. Miles Edgeworth, I suggest you use a bit more of it in the future.
Hold it!
You may think it's unshakable, but to me there are still too many unanswered questions. For example, who was it that placed the gun in Mr. Faraday's hand? But you're the only one still wondering that. Detective Gumshoe probably had no idea which hand Mr. Faraday used to write with. Even if you know someone, it doesn't mean you'll know which hand they write with, right? I mean, I certainly don't care about that sort of thing. Ha! My self-report? I'm not about to let her get a rise out of me with such a flippant statement. Okay, so we weren't supposed to go through it all. I was kind of wondering the way they kept saying don't point out her but I feel like she had a contradiction, so I was kind of confused. Suppose we reach the end now. I already have my trump card ready. All that remains is to play it. Before I do, I think I should inquire into a little something about our argument. You said earlier you confirmed the alibis of every person other than the suspect. Well, what about you? And I mean you, not... I mean it both you and you, right? I don't recall either Francesca or myself speaking with you about the subject. Ah, but there were witnesses. For you, there's your mentor who gave you an alibi. I see. As for little Missy, she came to the courthouse during the recess. And that was stopped by a security guard at the door to the hallway. She gave him quite a whipping for that, or so I heard. I'm the daughter of Manfred von Karma, and I will not be forcibly stopped by a guard or a bailiff or anyone else. So basically the only reason Francesca bothered to show up today was because she found out that I was to be the replacement prosecutor? By the way, Miss Yu, what about everyone's alibis before Detective Gumshoe was assigned to guard duty? What about him? Have you looked into what people were doing during that span of time? What kind of idiot do you take me for? Doesn't matter when the killer went into the lobby number 2. From the time we heard the gunshot to the time Mr. Bad and I arrived on the scene as we dashed from lobby number 1, the only person who could have committed the crime was Detective Gumshoe. Yes, let's talk about when you and Detective Bad heard the gunshot, shall we? I suppose that if we go by your logic, Detective Gumshoe is the only one. What if the crime had occurred, let's say, 30 minutes earlier? At an entirely different time than when the gunshot you heard went off. What then? That gunshot was a trap meant to manipulate our perception of when the time crime took place. I'm still talking. Sadly, your explanation is very lacking, Edgeworth. The gunshot we heard in lobby number 1, care to explain how that could have been fabricated? Well... this detective's badge.
Take that!
The tape! Yes, it's exactly what you think it is. This is the surveillance tape of Mr. Rell the prosecution presented in today's trial. This was found loaded in the video player in lobby number 2. That was connected to the large television that had its volume turned all the way up to 11. You can't honestly mean the sound we heard was the gunshot in the video. Ah, but I do, which leads me to my next point. The murders occurred much earlier than when anyone heard the gunshot. Hey, that's like the first time we synced up our flashy lines with the music, kinda. Good job, Francesca. You know what? Clap for Francesca. Little clap for her. She's getting there. It only took her 4 chapters. Well, she wasn't in them previously. You know what I mean. That's the only thing I can think of, too. I am now bad detective sidekick for this side. After committing double homicide, the killer took the surveillance video out from Mr. Faraday's evidence bag, turned the television's volume all the way up, and left the video to play. Bang! If played from the beginning, it would take 30 minutes for the gunshot sound to come on. And since we know this method of time manipulation is possible, it opens up the possibility the killer is someone other than Detective Gumshoe.
Objection!
Sounds from a television don't amount to much here. Of course, Mr. Prosecutor Edgeworth and Little Miss Von Karma already knew that much from the very beginning, right? Of course we knew, didn't we, Miles? Yes, of course. We know about the soundproof quality of this courthouse's rooms. Of course, I'm not about to admit we had no idea until only a little while ago. That's right. And if the rooms are soundproof, then we should not have been able to hear it. And yet we heard the gunshot clear as day. And that's it, end of story. But it's not. How should I explain why she was able to hear a gunshot from the soundproof room? There was a hole in the wall. There is actually one commonality between lobby number 1 and lobby number 2, and that's the fact that they're both called lobby. In O dot. And it is that despite the fact that both rooms have air conditioners installed, a window is open in each. Now, we know that the window in lobby number 2 was opened by the killer. However, a window in lobby number 1 was also opened.
Objection!
Ah! It's probably just coincidence that they were both open at the same time.
Objection!
It's no mere coincidence, I assure you. Why was the window open in lobby number 1? The answer is that a certain person did something to cause the window to be opened. And the person who triggered that action, that person is the real guilty party. The real killer in this double murder is...
Take that!
Miss Callisto Yu. I hereby formally indict you with the murder of Mr. Faraday and Mr. Rell. You indict me? Are you serious, Miles? Why do you think she's the killer? If you're not paying attention, you're not very perfect. I don't understand her motive just yet. But of course I'm serious. Deadly serious. Because she's the only one who could have done it. Well, Miss Yu, do you feel like laughing now? Ha ha ha. Of course I do, Edgeworth. My argument must not be tight enough yet. It's not even tubular. Definitely not rad. Although I never thought things would spiral into this. But I'll have you know, I'm enjoying this dance quite a bit. Guess this means it's time for my own rebuttal now, right? Miss Yu's rebuttal. You argued the window was open. However, do you have proof it was I who did it? Furthermore, do you have proof that the tape was used in committing the crime? Frankly, I'm shocked at you for going around accusing people of murder like this. That's crazy. Especially with logic as full of holes as you. So this is where it really starts. The real Ace Attorney Edgeworth investigation starts here. I mustn't let my guard down for even a second, or the truth will blow away. Now, it's time to put the patented Von Karma perfect proof to the test. I'm gonna take a patent pending fucking sip of the sauce. What'd you say? The patented, it wasn't patent pending. I just say that a lot, so I was mentally replacing it. We drinking, yo. Alright, we back. You argued the window was open. However, do you have proof that it was I who did it? I know you are, but what am I?
Hold it!
Evidence? All I need to do is have some prints analyzed and we know straight away. So you don't have evidence. It sounds as though she has the room to maneuver. Which means, even if we're able to lift prints, they'd only show that it was someone else, but... why that someone else was forced to open the window? That's simple logic. Why don't I try presenting that piece of evidence, ... Okay? I don't know, but... Edgy. You know we're in this for the content, right, brother? More importantly, are you going to be okay not running a fingerprint analysis? I'll be fine. Oh, well, in that case, I'll just continue with my testimony, alright?
Hold it!
I thought I just proved that it was. Sure, you proved the tape was there at the scene of the crime. However, that doesn't prove that it was actually used in said crime. Unfortunately for you, Miss Yu, the fact that the tape was there at the crime scene is in itself very important. How so? By the very existence of that tape at the crime scene, it proves the possibility of the win of the crime could have been fabricated. And that possibility alone renders all alibis and witness reports irrelevant. Basically, it means that we will need to re-examine every person's movements again. Whether the tape was used in the crime or not, we can re-evaluate that afterwards. So in conclusion, you're admitting you can't prove that it was at this point.
Hold it!
Even if you're shocked, that is of no concern to me. I do things my own way. The Edgeworth way. Oh. I see you're not laughing for a change. Because I'm shocked. Again, you being shocked is of no concern to me. Let us continue with the testimony. Alright, let me say one thing. You shouldn't go around accusing people.
Hold it!
Full of holes? Well, I suppose it might be. Oh, and admitting your faults now, are you? At this point in time is what I meant to say. Should I take that to mean you're just a sore loser? Ha! No matter how full of holes my logic may be right now, I'll plug them one at a time. I will ultimately make my way to the truth. What a paradox. Take care not to fall into one of those holes when you fill it up. Ha! Miles, you remember, don't you? About why a window in lobby number 1... Yeah, I know. See, it's like when the answers are obvious, that's when they're like, oh shit, let's really make sure we help them. But when it's like some random obscure shit, they're like, I don't know, figure it out. That's how I'll attack. I'll present the reason why the window had to be opened.
Objection!
Alright. Ladies and gentlemen of the court, I present exhibit number Z1. She stinks and has to use perfume. I rest my case. I'm sure you've seen this before, haven't you, Miss Yu? Ha! Edgeworth, I never knew you were into wearing that kind of perfume. Yes, and I do it proudly. It's not exactly what I'd recommend for boys, you know. Rather heteronormative of you, or not really heavy. Rather gender normative of you, Miss Yu. Not base. This isn't mine. That's right, it's mine, and I received it from Detective Bad, you see. Miss Yu can pretend all you like, but we know, at least, this much is for sure. That you are the one who gave this bottle of perfume to Detective Bad. And that you're super easy to rile up. So, what about the perfume? While you were in lobby number 1, you made a big show of spilling some of this perfume. That's according to Detective Bad. Okay, I know. You also knew if you spilled it, he would naturally move to open a window.
Objection!
Calm now, I've already told you it's all just a big coincidence. After you opened the window in lobby number 1, I just left it open, you know? Maybe it was dumb luck that we heard the gunshot through the window.
Objection!
The timing of when you were going to spill the perfume is something you could control. And the most important fact about this case is when people were made to hear the shot. Furthermore, it would have been pointless if you didn't have an alibi for yourself at the time. You mean, Miss you were the one who called Detective Bad into lobby number 1 when you saw him bring Detective Gumshoe into the hallway? Is that correct? All of today's premeditated events could have only been thought up by you, Miss Yu. Ha! You accuse me of murder on the fact that I spilled a little perfume. Well, allow me to say this much. I couldn't have killed Mr. Faraday. Would you care to testify as to why? Huh. Look, I've had a lot of fun today, really. I grow weird with this game of cat and mouse. Let's make this the last testimony and wrap up this absurd case once and for all. Why, it couldn't be me. Because I'm saying I didn't do it. I rest my case. Accusing someone of murder over a spilled bottle of perfume is a bit over the top. But I suppose forgery of evidence is to be expected of a disciple of Von Karma. In any case, it simply could not have been me who killed Mr. Faraday. After all, I don't even know where the knife that was used to kill him came from. Miles, her testimony is flawless! Yes, and no matter what sort of trick she may try and pull, she won't escape me. I'm like a black hole of legal justice. And if I'm lacking in information, I'll just draw it out of her.
Hold it!
I think I already explained the significance of that earlier. You only confirmed that I did spill some perfume. That's all. Think you would accuse me of murder based on a simple spill? Don't you dare complain when I sue you for defamation of character. Ha! Do as you like, but as for me, I believe. You believe? I believe that you are the true culprit in this case. My, you're enthusiastic. Of course I should have guessed. I'm clicking.
Hold it!
I formally request you to cease in your attack against my mentor. Yeah, we'll sue you for defamation. Ha! All I'm doing is telling the truth. Well, maybe more like spreading gossip. Well, you know, it kind of depends on the country, but in some countries, you know, you can still defame someone even if you're telling the truth, if you can legally prove that the intent of the statement was to harm someone's character. It's kind of weird. So basically, you could be telling the truth, but if you're saying something solely to, like, destroy someone's reputation, like in a malicious fashion, is a case for defamation in some countries. Although your adamant denials are, shall we say, just adding fuel to the fire. How dare you say such a thing? Calm down, little girl. Don't let her get to you. Why do you have to ruin my fun? Well, shall I continue? At least I believe that to be the case. I feel like I read something about that once. I don't know. Take that with a grain of salt.
Hold it!
Why exactly did you not kill him? Ah! I was about to testify to that. You're such an impatient man. I'm not really into that, you know, Edgeworth. Your preferences have no bearing on what is at hand. I am in love with only one lady, and her name is Lady Justice. Feeling a little uncomfortable, are we?
Objection!
Miss Yu, you will desist in this tomfoolery and return to your testimony. And Miles, if you're going to lose your cool, then I won't show you any mercy. Sorry. Miss Yu, please continue with your testimony. Sure. As I was saying, I couldn't have possibly killed Mr. Faraday.
Hold it!
At this rate, she will inevitably escape. But if she really was the one who killed Mr. Faraday, then she must have known about the existence of the knife. Sorry, Miss Yu. Maybe you weren't aware. The knife that was used to kill Mr. Faraday was taken from his evidence bag. Miles, what do you think you're doing? I'm drawing the truth out of her. That's what I'm doing. Huh? I don't recall a knife being presented at the trial earlier today. Well, I suppose that's because the evidence was something Faraday had yet to use. Ha! So that's what you're trying to do. Look, why don't you cut it out with the lies? I've already figured you out. There was no knife inside Mr. Faraday's evidence bag. Only evidence he had yet to present was the key the Yatagrasu had sent. Unless a key can magically turn into a knife, you really don't have a leg to stand on. Did you really think you could trap me? Come on now, be honest. I never intended to do such a thing. It was all a misunderstanding on my part. In any case, I wonder if you might append what you just said to your testimony? Sure, why not? I haven't said it as many times as you'd like. I don't really see, like... Because us saying, well, yeah, did you know this key could turn into a knife? That proves you're the killer. And then she's like, no, I didn't know that. That's crazy. Like, isn't that like such an easy deflection? Like, we have to be able to prove that she knew it could turn into a knife. Which I don't think we can do that.
Hold it!
Miss Yu, I would like to confirm something with you one more time. About what's going to happen to Detective Gumshoe after this. I don't need to ask you about that. Because he isn't the killer. Looks like the number of wrinkles on your forehead have increased yet again. That issue aside, Miss Yu, I'd like to ask you about what was inside the bag. Are you sure it was the Yatagrasu's key, correct? Yes, I'm sure. This is why I'm completely baffled as to where that knife could have come from. I think I've just spotted the... But, like... I feel like if anything, if we present the key and say this could turn into a knife and she says, wow, I didn't know that, like, aren't we fucked? Finally, it would appear that you have revealed your true identity, Miss Yu.
Miles, her final statement.
Yes, I know. All I have to do now is present the evidence. What is this ominous feeling that I can't shake? I mean, like, I don't know. I just feel like this is... Like, they're telling me to do something that I feel is stupid. There's a photo of the key.
Objection!
I just don't see why this should work. I wonder if you might take a look at this photo for me. It's a picture of the key the Yatagrasu sent to the police. However, while it may look like a key at first glance, it in fact is the secret ability to transform into a knife. Which means that what was inside Mr. Faraday's bag was both the Yatagrasu's key and the murderous knife. You knew the key was inside Mr. Faraday's bag, did you not? Yeah? Well, with the Yatagrasu's key alone, it's more than possible to kill Mr. Faraday. Do you understand now? Just knowing of the existence of the key. I mean, like, I don't really buy that, personally. I still haven't had a good look at it. Showing to me from that far away? You could be lying for all I know. You would even now still feign ignorance? I'm not feigning anything. We can't have you accusing me of a crime with false evidence now, can we? I mean, Mr. Von Karma, I've heard some very interesting rumors about him. Are you mocking my papa? Don't you dare sully the good name of my mentor. That's for me to do, later on, when I grow and mature. Now take a good look. This piece of evidence is more than real. Wow, who knew there was such a trick to this thing? Stab. Are you satisfied now? Of course you knew from the very beginning, didn't you? You knew the knife and the Yatagrasu's key are one and the same. Otherwise, someone like you isn't a member of law enforcement and who would never have been privy to this trick would have never known about it to begin with. But, like, can't you just say she didn't know? Furthermore, the something the Yatagrasu sent to the police. How did you have knowledge as to what it was? Actually, I heard it from Mr. Faraday. Just before he dragged Mr. Rail off, he told me. That's right, I almost forgot. I mean, like, okay, so are they trying to say that because she knew about the key? But, like, you know, shouldn't she know it because that's how evidence rules work? He also told me about the key turned into a knife at that time. But he didn't tell me about how the key actually transforms. What you were saying is simply not possible. Oh, and why not? Because Mr. Faraday himself didn't know about the hidden knife within the key. From within these pages, he mentions nothing about a knife.
Objection!
I'm not sure he would have written everything in his organizer, you know. Wouldn't something of this importance be better left to oral communication?
Objection!
Unfortunately, that is also impossible. Because Detective Bad didn't know about the knife aspect either. What would have been highly classified information even within the police force? And is something that even the lead detective on the case didn't know? Why would Mr. Faraday have felt the need to share such information with the opposition? Because that's how the law works? Like that's like the rules of of evidence? You know? That's like saying, why would we respect what the judge says? I don't know, that's just the way it goes, man. Yeah, I guess he wouldn't have much of a reason to. Looks like I have a pretty lame excuse, huh? How can you laugh at a time like this? She probably just realized the flaw in her logic and is actually in panic over it. But that's not something we need to concern ourselves with. But yeah, I guess I get what they're saying is that, like, in theory, she shouldn't know about the key. So the fact that she mentions the key means she knows about the key. I guess. But I guess I'm just kind of under the assumption that of course she would know about the key because she's the fucking defense lawyer on the trial. I suppose you're right. Miss Yu. I'd like to state that I also know how you knew the real nature of the knife. Do you now? Well, why don't you put your money where your mouth is and show me? Oh, I will, and I want that smile of your face by the time we're through. The moment of truth, the secret behind the Yatagrasu's key. Only one person would have had knowledge of it from the get-go. Who would know from the start the Yatagrasu's key could change into a knife? Is it not the Yatagarasu? But I don't know how we make that connection. I mean, obviously the Yatagarasu would know because it's his fucking key. But I don't really know how presenting this is supposed to help us. Unless we're going to claim that she's the Yatagarasu. Which, I mean, I guess is possible. Be kind of weird.
Take that!
Only one person would have known about the dual nature of the key. Huh. And that is... That is the person who sent the Yatagrasu's key to the police. And that is to say the Yatagarasu herself. Are you saying this lawyer's the great thief Yatagarasu? Miss Yu? You used Mr. Rail to lure Mr. Faraday into a trap, didn't you? You who profess to bear a grudge against criminals? Why? Why do something like this? Oh, lo, chi hee hee heen. Who would have thought that you, a stupid, rookie prosecutor, would see through me? You're sending the biggest chill to my spine right now, Edgeworth. This feeling of thrill. It's even greater than when I sink into someplace. You killed Faraday. Why? Answer me, Callisto. I mean, it does seem like really out of their MO. Callisto, you, huh? That's not my real name. Because my real identity is, yes, the great thief Yatagarasu. Let me tell you something, Edgeworth. Mr. Faraday was one difficult man to deal with. But you see, he had discovered my true identity, which is why I had to erase him from the world of law. I made Rail an offer, an acquittal for a little favor in return. All I had to do was accuse Mr. Faraday being Yatagarasu in court. But once we entered the recess, Rail was dragged off by Mr. Faraday, which threw our plan into a complete mess. Chased after them and eavesdropped on them through a crack in the door. That Rail caves to only two things, money and authority, just as all thugs do. I feared my plan was going to be ruined if Mr. Faraday held on to Rail any longer. Plus, if I had let them continue on the way they were, I would have been found out. So I had no choice. I had to kill them both. But didn't you say you despised criminals? But do I really? You... Have you forgotten about the KG8 incident too? Maybe. What sort of woman would... So then, was it your plan to kill Mr. Faraday with the very evidence that you sent? Well, I had a good idea what Mr. Faraday was going to do. I anticipated that Mr. Faraday was going to prove that Rail wasn't the Yatagarasu by using this Yatagarasu's key as evidence, and that he would bring it with him. Which is why I thought to use the knife portion. With the weapon as well disguised as this, no one would be the wiser. Because who in their right mind would think something like this could be a weapon? I casually entered lobby number 2 with the pretext that I had to talk with Mr. Faraday. And in order to get in with him, I pretended to be worried about something. He then let me hold the Yatagarasu's key just like that. He never noticed that I changed the key into a knife inside the plastic bag. And he didn't have the chance to take note of the knife that took his life. How could you kill him? I knew him for a long time, you know. At the very least, I thought to give him a quick and painless death. But if you killed Mr. Faraday first, there was no need for you to kill Mr. Rail as well. I believe I mentioned while we were placing Detective Gumshoe under arrest. Something about having accidentally created an eyewitness. And how that led to the killer to think about setting them up as though they killed each other. The trick with the surveillance tape? Yes, I hadn't actually planned to use a gun. The risk was too high that I'd be caught. However, that's when I remember the existence of that surveillance tape. Which is why I had Rail help me set up the crime scene. And after all was said and done, I rewarded him for all his hard work with a bullet. You're a defense attorney, aren't you? How could you betray a client? Ah, client? You want to talk about who was the client of who's first? It was me. I was the client in the murder of the Cadopian Embassy staff member, Dade Man. Who's a Dade Man. You ordered a hit job? Huh. You still haven't figured it out, Mr. Bad. I had Dade Man killed because he was about to give away info about the smuggling ring. And who exactly do you think would benefit from such an assassination? It can't be. You're... That's right. I'm a member of the smuggling ring. Whoa! How could this... You don't mean... You're working with Manny Cochin too, do you? Huh? Maybe, maybe not. Guess you'll never know. Yatagarasu claims to be noble, but you're just another cold-blooded murderer. That's right, little girl. The Yatagarasu's just another killer. Be quiet. You! Yatagarasu. You can run from the law, but you'll never escape it. Just humbly accept the judgment of this court. Hey, Edgeworth. Did you know the Yatagarasu has 3 legs? Do you know why that is? Because it's dope as hell? No? Let me tell you. It means the Yatagarasu has more than one razor-sharp way to do her work. Ah! Francesca, shield! You really are too naive, Edgeworth. Even handed the Yatagarazu's key right to me without a second thought. Everything may not have gone according to plan, but I'll still gladly take it. You mean the key was your real target? Well, that doesn't make any damn sense. She's the one who sent it. And even after I gave you such a great advice, didn't I tell you to always keep a good eye on a criminal? Well, you may regret what comes of your negligence. But like, no, why would she? She's the one who got rid of the key in the first place. You two, get down! My body, I can't move. Hey, mister, to your right! You! Meow. Are you alright, Francesca? I'm perfectly fine, Miles. Her voice is shaking, but it looks like she's unharmed. Where did Kay go? That's a gunshot. Nah, it's a pretty low caliber weapon. It'd take more than one shot to kill someone. September 10, 7 p.m. Sorry. Looks like she got away. I called the precinct. They should have a perimeter set up soon. Detective Bad, are you alright? I heard a gunshot. I'm okay. Just got another hole in my jacket. You may say he's fine. He looks quite shaken. More importantly, boy, I mean, Mr. Edgeworth, Miss Von Karma, are you two hurt? I'm absolutely fine. Sorry, let's take a little break for a second. Because I feel like the whole Shizuya Yatagarasu thing doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, I don't know. Especially when it comes to, like, the nature of, like... You feel like if the Yatagarasu had been dramatically revealed to Edgeworth in his youth, and the Yatagarasu also fucking tried to shoot him, that, he would kind of show more of a, like surprise or engagement with the idea of the Yatagarasu showing back up, as opposed to being, like, mildly, like, whatever. Like, it's one of those things where it feels like, to maintain this mystery, you kind of had to, like, make your characters act weird. Because it doesn't really make much sense for Edgeworth to be kind of somewhat blasé about the Yatagarasu prior to this. And then it also doesn't make any sense for Kay to pretend to be or want to be the Yatagarasu if she's in the room when the Yatagarasu confesses to being just a murderer and not, like, actually a real Robin Hood type figure. Much less also want to be the Yatagarasu when the Yatagarasu, she heard that the Yatagarasu killed her father. I'm absolutely fine. I'm also alright, thanks to Kay. Speaking of Kay, where is she? I don't know. She just sort of... I mean, I kind of respect... Because, you know, you're very much led to believe, right, that the dad is the Yatagarasu, but... So it not being him... I somewhat appreciate that as a twist. I just feel like it doesn't make sense for the lady to be Yatagarasu. I don't know, she just sort of disappeared. I'll go look for her. Oh, and a Detective Gumshoe. Yes, sir, Detective Bad, sir. Sorry I doubted you. Don't worry, sir, it's not your fault. A lot of people doubt me, sir. Well, I lied to you guys too, after all. I heard about what happened. From Kay. Lying while giving testimony is still unforgivable. You will have your pay lowered. But in this case, you're protecting Kay and her feelings. Looks like you just might have what it takes to be a real detective. Don't you ever lose that detective spirit, okay? You got it, Pops! Pay will be lowered again. Pops, watch one too many detective dramas recently, have we? Way to single-handedly destroy the cheery atmosphere with one snarky comment. That's what I'm here for! I should get back to investigation. I swear I'll catch you if it's the last I do. Well, not you. You do not seem like criminal as of right now. I meant you, not you. Be careful, Detective Batten. Take care. Thanks. Well, I'm off. Maybe we'll run into each other again someday. Thanks a bunch, pal. You're the best. You really did find out the truth behind everything. And then also it's like them like presenting the Yatagarasu as like, who knows who it could be still, when shouldn't it be like front page news about the Yatagarasu's identity? I'm glad we solved everything before you were taken to prison. My tongue still hurts. Can't believe how much trouble I caused you with my testimony, Detective Gumshoe. Ah, it's no problem, really. I mean, not allowed to, so I didn't help anything. Not really your fault, Your Honor. Even if you didn't have His Honor's testimony, I think that lawyer would have found another way to get you convicted on her behalf. Yeah. Can't believe I'll have to get fired during my first week as a detective. Well, I think you're going to get more than fired. Well, so long as you're not fired. You should work hard, give all that you have, and perform your duties well. And one more thing. Kay left a present for you with me. Oh, yeah. She did? What is it? This is that time when we present the thing that they said to present much later. Presumably, it's the Swiss roll.
Take that!
It's a courthouse special Swiss roll, pal. Can I really have it? Yes, it's a present meant for you, after all. Thanks a bunch. You got no idea how happy this makes me, pal. I'm gonna eat this right now. Go ahead. Don't drop it. The Swiss rolls Detective Gumshoe and Kay brought together. While the one Kay saved never reached her father, it would appear that her sentiments have touched the heart of this detective. He's so happy, so he's having a welcome back celebration of his home. Well, I was asked by Kay to give it to him. Oh, that was good, pal. I can't believe we got to eat 2 of these delicious things in one day. Like I'm in Swiss roll paradise or something. I gotta thank Kay myself. Hey, wait, where is she? You only just noticed now? Was his mind not present when we discussed her earlier? Detective Bad left to go search for her earlier. Maybe you should go join him. You betcha, pal. I'm gonna help him. Oh, but first, you know what, pal? Actually, I guess I shouldn't be so rude to you anymore, huh, best buddy? I'm gonna stick right by your side from now on, Mr. Edgewater, sir. I sense nothing but a most troublesome relationship from that ominous statement. We should go home 2 miles. We have to hurry and report what happened to Papa. Agreed. Well, I'm afraid we must be going now, Detective. Roger, sir. Don't you worry. I'll investigate the next case we're on real well. I'll, be counting on you. The scent of trouble is definitely in the air. Just like a bad dream, my first outing at court came to a disturbing end. A few months later, I was finally able to properly stand in court as a prosecutor. But the detective in charge of the investigation was, as I dreaded, Detective Gumshoe. After that, he became my direct subordinate, and I have tried, but words fail to describe the immeasurable suffering he has caused me. But I suppose that's just how things are. As for the little girl who suddenly disappeared, she's now... So, do you remember now? Huh? You've been standing there for 7 days. I was wondering if you were done reminiscing yet. I remember everything. Man, he looks like really old now. Like, just like the 2 extra lines. It makes him look fucking ancient. Okay? It's been a while. Okay, you sure grew up a lot. Of course, but thank goodness I thought you two had totally forgotten about me. And also, them completely forgetting, since she had like a much more major role in that case too. It does seem even stranger for them to both forget. I was really worried about you after all that. Where have you been all this time? Gummy, I didn't know you cared. After my father died, I went to go live with my mother's relatives. They live really far away, so I wasn't really able to come back here all that much. Is that what happened? Well, I'm just glad you're alright. So, does it all make sense now? You betcha it doesn't. You know what? I was just going through my father's bookshelves recently and...
Hold it!
Yeah, what's up with the fucking Yatagarasu shit then? Actually, there are still a number of things that don't make sense, Kay. Huh? First of all, why did you come all this way to see me? And second, why are you calling yourself the Yatagarasu? Yatagarasu is Callisto Yu, the woman who killed your father. You're wrong. The real Yatagarasu was my father, okay? Mr. Faraday was the Yatagarasu? Like I said, I was going through my father's bookshelf recently. Okay, so she's like a copycat, I guess. I mean, that would make sense. Like, that would clear up the inconsistencies, I suppose. It would just be kind of silly, but it would make logical sense. And I found a secret diary hidden among his books. I have no regrets in choosing to walk the path of the Yatagarasu. That was written in his diary, and that's how I know for sure. But that's impossible. What's that look? You don't believe me? It wasn't just the expression of my face. I clearly said it was impossible just now. Alright then, how do you explain this? It's a way of disarming any security system of the user's choosing. Yup. It's a little thief, truth be told. This is Yatagarasu's greatest secret. And this little gizmo is used by my father. Wowee! Mr. Faraday wasn't just a great prosecutor, he was actually a great thief, huh? My father worked really hard to steal the truth. But he was killed. And the Yatagarasu was no more. But despite that, the Yatagarasu had been spotted again recently. Someone other than you. Well, you know, other than you. But presumably it's you. You know what I mean? Here, Mr. Edgeworth. Take a look at this article. Yatagarasu sent the embassy a calling card? Yeah, meaning this person's a fake. I'm almost certain. That Callisto Yu lady's behind this. Because the real Yatagarasu would never send something like a gaudy card out. But the Yatagarasu did send a white card along with anything to be publicized. That's what Detective Bad told me 7 years ago, if memory serves. Well, I guess that could have still been her. As soon as I heard the news, I got all wound up and I knew I couldn't just let it go. So I searched you out so that I could obtain the truth behind the Yatagarasu. Because if anyone can help me find it, I figured it's you, Mr. Edgeworth. You're saying that I have your father and Mrs. Yu's identities backwards? Yeah, because the real Yatagarasu is noble to the end. And I want to revive the real, noble Yatagarasu. If I don't, my father will never be able to rest in peace. Okay. I understand. Okay, you're so honorable. I don't care what anyone else thinks. I'll always be here to cheer you on, pal. Even if you are honorable, a thief is a thief. And if you are plotting to commit a crime, then I'm afraid I can't be complicit. Mr. Edgeworth? Oh, you guys are not making it easy for me. Who am I supposed to support now? Mr. Edgeworth? What I want from you is not to steal something. What I want is the arrest of that evil woman. That evil woman, eh? You mean Callisto you? I think it's too hard for me to catch her all by myself. But I thought that since you were able to expose her for who she is, then maybe... Please, Mr. Edgeworth, won't you help me? Yeah, sure, whatever. Going to think of it, I do believe I owe you one. Owe me for what? When Miss Yu made her escape, it was you who saved my life. Furthermore, you helped me with the investigation today. Wait, she did, really? You didn't mention that? No, I mean, I'm not so rude as to leave favors unrepaid. Then you mean... Yes. That case has been weighing down on my soul ever since that fateful day. Perhaps the time has come to settle things once and for all. And you don't intend to soil your hands on a crime, then I believe I can help you. Mr. Edgeworth, thank you! Yay, Mr. Edgeworth, sir! Isn't that great, Kay? Yeah, it sure is, Gummy. Even though he had completely forgotten about her until just now. What is with their chummy relationship? Why don't I have any friends? Also, they really fucking baited me, man. I was like, oh, the case is like almost over. Like 40 minutes ago. I guess we're just gonna do a fucking long one, sure, why not? The great thief Yatagarasu. After all that time, the true identity of the thief sank back into the darkness. But like, that seems unlikely. I feel like it would be pretty front page news. Ryan Faraday, Callisto Yu, and Kay Faraday. The phantasmagorically changing identity of the great thief Yatagarasu. And the Yatagarasu's real goal? It would all come to light the day after I made that promise to Kay. Ooh, that was a doozy, man. My throat's like fucking rebelling against me. But yeah, we'll just go ahead and just make this a long one. Especially since we're not uploading this series like as frequently. We're still just it's gonna be kind of touch and go for this last chapter. I'm gonna try and record at least a few more videos. Still got a couple more days off I probably won't be able to finish the game, or I know I won't be able to finish the game, but I'll get some videos recorded, and we'll probably have uploads of Ace Attorney like maybe every third day. I don't know. It's on the back burner, but it's gonna get finished. I'm still enjoying the game. As for episode 4, Verdict, it's kind of... I think I liked it. I liked it more than the last case for sure. I'm kind of like blanking on some of the specifics and stuff just because it was done over such a long period of time. But character interactions and whatnot were all pretty good. I feel like I don't really remember having any problems with any of the logic, right, in this chapter. Well, maybe a few times. I think like towards the start, maybe. I feel like there was a couple things that annoyed me, but for the most part, I mean, the only real thing is I just kind of already talked about, like, the whole... I think this weird kind of, like, the way the timeline is constructed is kind of weird. And so, like, to try and hide the fact that certain events aren't going to be revealed later via flashbacks, the characters kind of have to act weird. You know? Like, Miles should have a much more, like, even just Miles forgetting about Kay seems kind of silly, especially after seeing all of Chapter 4. Where if she was just kind of like a minor-ish character who he didn't really interact with that much, and it's like, oh, that's the daughter of this dude that was, like, kind of my first Kay, you know. That would make more sense, but considering how, like, important you would think the Yatagarasu thing becomes because, well, the lady tries to shoot him and he barely survives because Kay warns him. Like, I feel like he would remember her more. Or at the very least have her use like a different name or something. Because then I would find it a little bit more believable if she like calls herself something, but she's like, actually, you know, you do know me, but by a different name. And then he's like, okay, I get it now. You look so different. You're all grown up or whatever. Something like that. But alright. We'll call it here. Next time we will get started on, well, presumably the final chapter for Ace Investigations. But yeah. Alright, I'm Extra Cheesy 87. Stay tuned for the next part. And bye, guys.